Ladies and gentlemen, we have Monolith Soft Monday News on the Monolith Soft Monday News Network here, and that is that although I had tried to escape both this country, this continent, and try to enjoy my time at Tokyo Disneyland, Monolith Soft had other plans and thought, you thought you would be ashamed if you were out enjoying your time at Disneyland in Japan. We just happened to announce something while you were there. It's only happened the past 4 times. So, yeah, it is time for me to officially announce and acknowledge and admit and eat this delicious crow. So, oopsie-doodle. So, yeah, Xenoblade X Definitive is real. And I was wrong. And it's okay. The thing is like I'm okay saying I was completely wrong here. I'm a little surprised, and to my own credit, none of the people who were sucking down the hopium of Xenoblade X Definitive being a thing, none of them thought it was going to be Switch anymore. Everyone was convinced it was Switch 2 now. Switch 2 launch game, Switch 2 launch here, Switch 2 this, Switch 2 that. Like, the Switch is on its way out. I mean, I think the Switch is still kind of on its way out. But Monolith Soft had other plans. Now, my immediate thought was like, now, if anyone has seen, I don't know if it's in the movie or just an outtake, I forget what the movie was, but it's the one where I think it was Johnny Knoxville or one of those other people. It's a movie where they try to join the Special Olympics, and the guy's like, what are you doing? Relax. We all just went out to get ice cream, and then someone yells, when the F did we get ice cream? And I'm sitting here thinking, seeing this game get announced, I'm like, when the F did you have time to make this? So, but don't matter. Doesn't matter. The Ringer, yes, thank you. So, yeah, like in the movie The Ringer, when the F did you have time to when the F did you have time to make Xenoblade X Definitive? But it's happening. It's coming out in March, which means it's been in development for some time on the system. It's just when the F did you make this? But yeah, common Monolith Soft W, right? What's up, KY? I don't think did Arlo actually explain that? Good. I'm glad the puppet fornicator was able to have fun with this. But yeah, so Xenoblade X's Definitive is a thing, and there's things to talk about. The first one is like the first Definitive, they end the trailer with the post credits with voiceover now, and the costume is apparently changed on that person. So as we've called him, the Black Knight. If to get into lore details, the character model that approaches Lao on the beach at the end of the game looked exactly like the the villains in Xenoblade 3. So if you dig into the art book, Secrets of Mira or whatever, he looks exactly like a console, but in black. He looks a little different in this Definitive Edition trailer. So breaking it down, I think, so first of all, the most obvious thing, obviously, they fixed the faces. The weird potato faces on the Xenoblade X character models have gotten a whole big makeover. I think I will just address the issue in the room right away, which is some people have said, like, doesn't it feel a little sacrilegious or controversial? It seems that Elma seems to be a little bit lighter, which I would argue would be a problem if Elma wasn't secretly a pale white and purple booty butt cheeks alien in disguise. Spoilers, who cares? The game is 10 years old almost, okay? This game is coming out nearly on its 10-year anniversary. I can't think of any other game that is about to hit its 10-year anniversary that people would really love to see a remaster for. I don't think any of those exist. But I think overall it's just a general improvement. And like Lynn looked horrible on the original Xenoblade X. I don't think, straight up, I don't think that this game might have the same amount of intense additions to it in the way that Xenoblade 1 Definitive did. Because they didn't say it was an epilogue. They said added story elements. I think that key phrase right there is particularly interesting. Now, I don't know if they said, I'd have to go back and double check if when they announced Xenoblade 1 Definitive in September of 2019, I think it was. I don't know if they said straight up there would be an epilogue that is separate from the main game or if that detail was saved for later. But I mean, this game, we're looking at a game right now that's, 1, 2, 3, 4.5 months out from being out. I obviously there's going to be stuff post credits because they literally are showing you the last cutscene of the post credits game, but now with added dialogue already in the initial trailer. So there will be stuff post game. I know I'm eating crow on this game existing, but I'm going to tell you right now, I don't think this game exists to tie it into Xenoblade. In fact, the reason I say this is that Nintendo themselves, in a press release for the game, straight up said that this is a standalone story. Enjoy a standalone story Xenoblade game. So if you recall, when they first showed Xenoblade 3, they straight up, Shinya Takahashi said straight up, this game takes place after the endings of Xenoblade 1 and 2. They said it directly to your face when Xenoblade 3 was announced. This is a sequel that follows after the story of 1 and 2. They are telling you right here and right now, publicly, this is a standalone release. And I think this game, if you want to get really into it cynically here, I think this game exists, and Ost has kind of already said it. This game kind of exists to have a big meaty release on the Switch to keep it going before the Switch 2 comes out. Now, this game comes out March 20th, 2025. We have no idea when the Switch 2 is going to come out. They have still not said anything about it. They did say today, as of this recording, that they confirmed, yes, it will be backwards compatible. Yes, your Nintendo Switch Online account will carry forward from Switch 1 to Switch 2 or whatever they call it. Which, to me, that was never in doubt. But cool. Anyways, they didn't say if it was enhancing any game, but they said it will be backwards compatible, which, no surprise to me. I said 99.9% it will be backwards compatible. But yes, I think this game exists almost purely to pad out the Switch's life. And it's insanity to me that somehow Monolith Soft is the company to do that, because they were there day one with Breath of the Wild, they were there year one with Xenoblade 2, and now they're going to be there on the 8-year anniversary of the system with Xenoblade X Definitive. I will hear nothing about any other developer on the planet at this point right now that is more proficient than Monolith Soft. In my mind, they are the most proficient developer on the planet right now, because even the really good developers, and there are many good developers out there, but even your Insomniacs of the world are not churning stuff out at this rate. Like this, this is insanity to me that they're constantly being the one to, like, their legs, they are the left and right fucking leg of the Switch, pretty much, and they are carrying this damn system, like on its legs, on its back. It's insane to me, because I mean, we're looking at, they say there'll be graphical enhancements, and there was a tweet that blew up and took off, and it was a big meme, and I reveled in it completely, which was which to me was like, I wish Pokemon looked this good. And I'm like, I see this every week. Every week I make this point, and it blows up on Twitter from someone else, but whatever. I'm glad you are noticing. I'm glad some more of you are noticing. But yeah, this game looks insane for, it's a 10-year-old ass game. So yeah, but it's what I do think that this game also exists purely because Monolith Soft, I think, wanted to close the chapter on Xenoblade. In fact, I don't think people are going to think this is going to tie into the next game. I have heard that said that Definitive existed to pump you up for part 3 because Future Connected was to tie you in, was like the wet your whistle for the part 3, which is Future barely if not at all connected to 3 really. But I don't think that's the case here. I think Xenoblade X Definitive Edition exists because I think there is a real possibility that Monolith wants to close the book on the Xenoblade series, potentially. I'm not saying they'll never make a Xenoblade game again, but I think they may want to go like, we're going to make a new IP for the new system. We're not going to have any. We're not leaving any threads. We're not leaving any stone unturned. We will put we have the opportunity now. They had the opportunity here with this. Put every Xenoblade game on the Switch, every single one. Nothing was left out. Nothing was like this weird like lost game or whatever. But here, we'll do this. And then we'll tie up whatever we have going here, which, again, I've never been of the... I'm also, again, where people... Hey, you're wrong. What's up, KY? Oh, we get a brand new IP. I think we are going to get a new IP, but I honestly, I think for them, it's like, let's just put this on Switch. Let's close the book on it. We'll come back to it later someday, maybe. And let's go move on with the new IP. But yeah, like as I've heard the idea that this is going to tie into the next game, and I don't think so. I think very specifically that it was done so we can say every game in this series is available on this system. You can have it all on the Switch. You got a Switch, you got every Xenoblade game. We're not going to do a game that's, and again, the thing that's going to make people get mad at me when I says I don't really view X's ending as a cliffhanger. Everyone's like, it's a cliffhanger. I'm like, no, I think it's a loop. I think they're telling you it's a loop. It's not a cliffhanger, it's a loop. These people are in purgatory. However, I read one thing recently on the internet that was actually kind of, interesting, where I guess in 2011 or 2012 or something in the 2010s, some supercomputer got activated, went online. The name of that supercomputer was Mira, and they were hypothesizing that Mira and everything in X is actually all simulation. It's all matrixy or whatever, and that the name of the planet Mira was done on purpose because it's all within like a supercomputer simulation or something similar maybe to what's going on in 3. I've always been of the opinion of like, okay, it's not a cliffhanger. It's just that these people are trapped in a purgatory. I think they're trapped in an endless now, a collective unconscious, if you will. It's all very Xeno-y when you really break it down. Just it's purgatory. It's like this. Everyone died or whatever, or got sucked into. If you want to say, is it possible that it could tie in? Yeah, it could. I mean, even in the trailer and in the game, they talk about a white blinding light, like a white flash. The lizard people, Mr. Slugworth or whatever his name was. The big slug alien talked about it. Lynn talks about it in the trailer, like the bright flash. They talk about like, we can't leave this planet. We're stuck here after that big weird bright white light. I'm like, but yeah, it's possible they tied in. We're saying like, when Klaus activated the conduit and did that whole big, universal reset. It's possible this is another universe that affected this, would lead into what he says in 2. Again, to really break it down, why do I think this? Because very specifically, Xenoblade X takes place it starts in the year 2054, and then it's like 2058 or 2060 or something like that, or 2056, somewhere around there, is when this is supposed to happen. Like, they go into space, and they're in space for like 2 years, and they crash land on the planet. So this is like it's like somewhere between like 2 to 4 years after 2054. Very specific dates. Very, very specific dates that Xenoblade X is supposed to take place in. Which Xenoblade 1, 2, and 3... Well, Xenoblade 1 and 2 and 3 take place many thousands of years from now, but they did not have an alien invasion show up and blow up Earth in Xenoblade 2. It was planet Earth, and they found a conduit, and they built a space station, and humans do what humans do best. And then all life got incinerated, but the planet didn't disappear. It just, life got wiped out from it. So yeah, this is not this cannot physically take place in the same universe as Xenoblade 2 or 3 or 1 after it remerges. If you want to get there. This has and always will be a separate universe. I mean, this game still has the United States of America and stuff like that, and they don't have the the coalition government that was set up in Xenoblade 2 and 3 and stuff. So it's just not the same universe. It's not. And you're basically gonna wrap your head around into pretzel knots, and then you'll end up in your colon trying to make sense, trying to find a way that it's the same universe. No, it's not. It's not. So I honestly think if they were going to tease anything, it would be the conduit would appear in X's universe, setting up something. But again, I don't think X is meant to connect to the other games. Again, Nintendo's stated as such in their press release that this is standalone. They want you, and I mean, Takahashi lied about it with 2, but it's like, I think the idea here is that, look, maybe the reason 3 didn't sell as well, and people think this too, and it's really hard to say if it's, the cause or not, but people didn't buy 3 as much as they bought 2. They just didn't. And some people feel it's because of the number and being a sequel and them stating it's a sequel and they have to basically say it's standalone. Otherwise, people will get scared away. That's why 16 didn't sell, which I don't buy into the numbered argument. I don't think numbers scare people. I really don't. I think that's a bullshit argument. And I think we have plenty of instances of why that's a bullshit argument, because the best-selling Final Fantasy games are 7 and 15. I don't think the numbers were not a problem for 7 or 15. The most highly regarded Resident Evil is 4. The best-selling Resident Evil for a long time was 5, and then it was 7. And now it's 2 remake. Numbers don't matter. People think they do, but they don't. People are way too scared of numbered entries in video games to think that it's going to dissuade sales. If a series is good and the word of mouth is good and the game is good, it will find its audience. And sometimes sometimes it'll come later. Sometimes it'll take time, but it will find its audience if it's there. Yeah, and Persona's another one. Persona started getting popular with 3 and then really took off with 5. So, okay, why? They can make it so they want. I don't know how they would. KY, I'm going to be honest here. I don't think there's any way they can do that, because there was a orbital ring around Earth in Xenoblade 2, and a space station, which is clearly not around Earth in the opening of X, and there's no aliens mentioned at all in Xenoblade 1, 2, or 3, just showing up on Earth's doorstep and blowing Earth up. It cannot be in the same universe. Like, there's no way to hand wave it with an explanation away. It just can't be the same universe. And I think I will stand my ground on this. I will stick my feet in the sand or the mud here. I'm like, this is not the same universe as Xenoblade 1, 2, or 3, and they're not going to retcon it to being it. It will be a separate universe. It might be affected by the effects of Klaus, but it's not the same universe. It is not the same universe. There wasn't a Ring of Definitive Edition either. Right, because you are getting it from Alvis's point of view. You're not actually getting it from someone who was there, and you're getting it from the computer. The godlike Nopon had to pull strings to get Elma to meet Shulk and Rex. Well, I mean, I'm not going to start going into the Nopon Arch Sage argument. That's just for fun. Yeah, Call of Duty 4. Call of Duty 4 is when Call of Duty started getting really big. And they've had any number of games sell really well with, it just numbers. People think numbers scare people away, and they really don't. They really don't. Especially, if they're really not. I mean, the funny thing is that Resident Evil is an interconnected universe of games, but it's funny because like 8 is not the best-selling Resident Evil. They sell pretty good. 3 is less controversial to begin with. I mean, okay, that is a good segue. Let me just say this: 3 didn't sell as well as 2. Not so much because of the press or the negative press. I think the problem is that even by the time Xenoblade 3 came out, I think a lot of people had moved on from the Switch. Here's the segue here where I'm like, people are like, oh, X will finally have its chance to shine. Oh my God, yes, it is, Metaloid. I don't think this game is going to sell as well as any of the other Xenoblades. In fact, I think this will be the worst-selling game of the Xenoblade series on the Switch. I could be wrong about that, and that'd be great. I don't mind being wrong. I'm wrong about this game existing, and that's great. People think that the user base being so much bigger is going to magically equate into more game sales, and it's not true. It's not true. It's statistically not true. It's historically not true. This generally is how it works. The install base, that means they've sold 150 million systems. That doesn't mean there are 150 million active users on the Switch. It just means that, well, we definitely have a large pool of fish that could potentially buy it. Just means your potential is not nothing, I guess. But the system's old. This game is coming out past its 8-year birthday. It's a lot of people will have moved on. A game that is, for all intents and purposes, a Witcher 3 sized adventure is probably not a game a ton of people are sitting there going, yeah, I can't wait to get my Switch out for that. So yeah, I mean, to address the other elephant in the room, this game has been very easily emulatable for the past 10 years. If people were vaguely interested in this game, it was not hard to play it emulated. Legally or illegally, whether you bought a copy of the game or didn't buy a copy of the game. It's kind of like the Darkstalkers scenario where it's like, well, if they just put Darkstalkers on a modern system, people will show up and dress them. No, they won't. Because anyone who's been interested in playing Darkstalkers has been probably playing a MAME version of Darkstalkers for freaking years now. I'm sorry, Krim. I know he's probably out there streaming, but I'm sorry, dude. But that's just kind of the reality of the situation here, is that like install base isn't going to change the fact that, like, one, this is a game, if anyone was interested, they could have easily emulated. They've been able to easily emulate it for a long time now, and two, it's the end of a system's life. This is going to be the hard thing, because I don't want it to happen. I mean, it'd be nice if anything, it could at least sell as well as, say, Xenoblade 1 Definitive, which is 1.91 million at last count. I hope Xenoblade 1 and 3 have crossed the 2 million mark by now. Last we heard, and again, this is really old info, Xenoblade 2 was 2.74. Xenoblade 1 and 3 were 1.91 million. So, as far as we know, like, they've not crossed that barrier yet. They probably, I don't know, it's hard to say. But, I own 3 copies of this game. I own Japanese, downloaded on a Japanese system that I bought just to play this game 8 months early. I own a physical American Wii U, and then I have a special edition Wii U. Hey, it's right there. Thank you, Noble Sensei. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I own 3 copies of this game. I would love for it to sell well, but I'm going to be realistic here. I don't know that it will. I honestly think the way Nintendo looks at it, and maybe even the way Monolith looks at it right now, is just this is a time filler. I don't want to be that guy, but I'll have to be that guy and be like, we'll be happy if this sells $1 million. I will be happy if this sells $1 million. If this sells $1 million, that's probably good enough. It's probably good enough for me. This is to keep the Switch gears turning a little bit longer. This is to make, a small but very vocal fan base happy. I'm happy. I'm very happy. Yes, I'm eating crow right now, but I'm happy. Yeah. Yeah, I think the game, exactly, Oz. I think Oz is completely on the ball here. The game will do its job, and because again, they've literally had said, we're making a big new RPG. We've created a brand new R&D department just to work on our engine. So that is the most shocking thing of all to me, was that in light of the news that they're hiring for a big new game, in light of the news that they started an R&D department internally, in light of all that stuff, and of course, like the constant like hiring and whatnot for like Zelda and other art asset help on other games, they somehow found the time to make this, and within pretty much the exact same time frame as Xenoblade 1 Definitive. Because remember, it went Xenoblade 2, 9 months later, Torna, and then about a year later, announcement of Definitive, and then 8 months after that, Definitive comes out, and then we have to wait 2 more years from that point just because of COVID for the announcement of Xenoblade 3. Gets pushed forward. 9 months after Xenoblade 3, we get Future Redeemed, and then pretty much almost the exact same amount of time later, but about a year and a half longer rather than a full year, just a year, Xenoblade X Definitive gets announced, and it's coming out, in March. So it's kind of following the same pattern. They have this well-oiled machine going on for all the releases, but make no mistake, okay, this is it. This is the last Monolith Soft game on the system. Like, there is no more blood to squeeze out of this rock, okay? So there's nothing more they can do for this system than this game. This is it. This is the end of Monolith Soft on the Switch. Are you sure? No Pokemon. There's nothing else. Because even if I know what you're all thinking. You're all thinking, what happens when they announce Xenoblade Warriors? That'll be Omega Force. It won't even be Monolith Soft. This is it. This has got to be the end of it. So at the end of the day, moral of the story is, I was wrong. They somehow found the time to squeeze a definitive version of Xenoblade X into the system, and I'm very happy about that. I'm very happy to be wrong about that, and I'll be very happy to play this game again and discover whatever new content it has. Happy to be wrong. This is a great time for it. But yeah, it's cool. Wrapping up, I do think this is, I think for Nintendo, this game was more or less a time filler to keep the Switch's life going a little longer. I think for Monolith Soft, I think they just wanted to finish out the series on the system. I think they just wanted to say they had every Xenoblade game on the Switch. I don't think this is some premonition of games to come. I don't think that this means Xenoblade X2 is the next game. No, it doesn't. Cool your jets. I don't think that's a given or a guarantee. It's not an impossibility, but I just look at this as like, this is a time filler for Nintendo. This is a sort of, book filler, a closing the chapter, a dotting their I's and crossing their T's for Monolith Soft on the system. It's finishing out what they started. I don't think this is like some big, okay, this is the future for them. No, I actually still think they're making a new IP, and they wanted to start a new IP, and they just wanted it to be unrelated to Xenoblade on their next system. That is where my head is at. Oh, and then the other thing too. Nothing about a special edition for this game at all. They have a exact day and date for the game with the announcement. Nothing about a collector's edition. They already put the game up for pre-order on their website. So I think it's very telling that this doesn't have a collector's edition, because I think it's pretty much, when the game's already available for pre-order and they already have a specific day, I would say it does not look like there will be any sort of special edition for this game. Bummer, but again, I don't think, this is filling a gap. This is filling a gap for Nintendo. And it's just sort of like tying a loose end for Monolith Soft. So, but yes, I'm happy to eat crow on this, and yeah, I can't believe, and this still will have online. They actually confirmed that, so it's like, I guess I'll see some of you guys in this online, hopefully, for anyone who's actually still playing a Switch in March 2025. I don't know how many that'll be, but if you're out there, cool. If there's any hopes I have, I hope there's some major balance changes for this game, because there were certain things you could not do. You almost couldn't do in Xenoblade X unless you downloaded an AI companion that had a complete, like a specific busted build. I don't think they're going to do anything major. I don't think the battle system's going to change. I think it's just going to get balance tweaked. I don't anticipate anything happening to the music. If I could see. Well, you can kind of teabag, because I think you can. Can you crouch in this game? Well, you crouch before a big jump, so I don't know. I don't think I do not anticipate any major gameplay tweaks to this game. That is way more work than is necessary. People want a definitive edition of this game. They didn't want a brand new, because even Xenoblade, with all of the quality of life features of Xenoblade 1 definitive, they didn't change the battle system. It's still the battle system. I think this will still be the same game. I think it'll be the same game as before. I just hope there's some balance adjustments for it, because fighting even the last boss and some of the other bosses without having a busted AI companion, almost impossible. Almost impossible. So I wish it would be like 2 or 3, because they were significantly better battle systems than 1, but I don't even know the guy's top 10 fighting games. So anyways, happy to eat crow on this Monolith Soft Monday. We'll continue now with a new definitive to our ranks. Xenoblade X definitive is real. It's awesome. I don't have huge expectations for sales, but I'm just happy it exists, and I'm happy to be wrong for it. So, and thank God it's not Xenoblade Warriors.